just can't seem to get it right as women. No matter what we do, someone has something to say. There was a time we wanted to go out and conquer the world and get out there and do what the men can do. Be like a man, do what men can do, because we're as good as men, right? Give us the choice. That was what they said. We want the choice. And eventually, after lots of fighting against the men who wanted to oppress us and suppress our voices, we won. We won the choice. And then now the fight had to be against the women. I personally, I'm sure they are there, because no one gets it. Okay, not everyone gets it, or there will be people in every section who will not get it. Now the fight is against our fellow women, because it turns out when they were fighting, what they were really saying is not, we want the choice to be able to do what we want to do. They apparently were fighting that every woman goes away from the house and nobody stays home and nobody manages the house. Like no family member. That's what they really meant. They meant that nobody in the family should take care of the family, because I mean, that's the only logical thing or conclusion I can come up with the way women react when they hear that a mother is mothering. Shock. How dare a mother choose to actually mother 24/7? That's not what we fought for. And then that's where it comes in. Not only from the women. There are some men, the educated men. I remember when I was in university, and I can't remember what year I was in, doing a course that I didn't want to do because feminism had not yet reached me, or it had. But anyway, point is, I was in university studying something I did not want to study anyway. I had wanted to be a nurse, or my second choice was social work, and my mother said, any Tom, Dick, and Harry. First she said no, nursing is low class. It's not high status enough. I said, but I really want to be a midwife. I really want to help women give birth. Like, no, it's not good enough. Then I said, okay, I will do then my second choice, which is social work. No, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can do social work. It's for anybody. You've got a brain, so you must show that you've got it by doing something more difficult. Okay then. And now the thing is, I couldn't rebel because I wasn't the one who was going to pay the fees. I was just an 18-year-old girl. Well, I was actually 17, choosing my way to apply for university. So I had no choice. So here I am now studying something I don't want to study, somewhere where I don't really want to be anyway, because the choice was taken from me. And so I decide I'm going to study whatever it was, speech therapy. But then the choice again was taken from me. I wanted to study speech therapy on its own. I wanted to be a speech therapist, probably help people who stammer. That had been my aim, because one of our close family friends, he had a stammer. It was bad, really bad. You know, the type where it's not just, I think it's, and the word does not come out for ages, and you know that he's trying to say one simple word and it doesn't want to come out. He was much older than me, but I used to feel so sorry for him, because I know I would feel awkward. I would feel I didn't feel like he's stupid or anything, but I know you feel embarrassed, because then you're stopping the flow of conversation and everyone is hanging and waiting for you. I just felt like he must have been under so much pressure. So I wanted to be a speech therapist so I can help people like that, to give them the tools. I still don't know the tools. Give them the tools to study, to talk freely and to flow and to stand out less in a way that for them must be negative. And also I wanted to help stroke victims. We had a family friend. Yes, everything I do is linked to something I've seen. my parents had friends, and the husband had lost his ability to speak. I don't know what would have happened if he had had proper therapy. You know, it was back in those apartheid days. So you have a stroke, you go home. There's no therapy, nothing. And he never was able to speak again. He could understand, but all that came out was gibberish. I don't know if it's gibberish, but you'd say, you know, Dadun Lofu, how are you? And he would answer with for the rest of his days. So if there's a way to help people like that to find a way to communicate, even if it's not through speech, let it be found. So I wanted to do speech therapy. But UCT, I don't know now, but at the time, UCT combined speech therapy with audiology, which is the science of hearing. It's the ear. And I was not good at physics. I was worse when we got to the acoustics and whatever. There was a whole lot of physical science type stuff. And I couldn't do it. I didn't know how to pass it. I didn't know if there were any tutors. In fact, the whole concept of tutors hadn't ever appeared in my mind. My parents never cared how I was doing at school. As long as I was passing, that was all that mattered. No one ever said, okay, let's look at your homework. Where you're struggling, oh, you're struggling, let's take you to tutors and help you improve. There was none of that. So I honestly, yes, I went to a good school, but none of my friends had tutors. My friend was struggling with maths. The teacher would try and help her during lunch, and that was it. Her mother, I don't think her mother ever took her to a maths tutor. So eventually she dropped maths completely in high school. So yeah, the concept of getting help when you're struggling, it had never been presented to me, and I didn't know I could seek help, and I didn't know who I would have asked. So I struggled mightily with that portion of my studies. I was failing with 30%, and I needed that to pass everything else. And guys, the unfairness of that was traumatic. My dream was to help people, but here I am, because of one stupid subject, I can't. And it's a subject in a degree I don't even want to do, in a career I don't want to do. When we finish, some would be audiologists, some would be speech therapists. I don't know if any who actually did both. A speech therapist / audiologist. You either went and you tested ears and tested what kind of hearing loss they had, or you were a speech therapist. So yeah, long story short, my choice was taken from me again, in a sense, because I tried, I couldn't. Thankfully, then my boyfriend decided, let's get married, which was a-okay with me. Finally, I would be choosing to be free. We got married, and then we went to the UK, and I couldn't study there because I didn't have the right permit or visa. So we went to Kenya, and then we went to Kenya because my husband was trying to open up a business with his brother. I thought, okay, now is my time. What is closest? What can I do? I couldn't do social work because I had to attend lectures physically. Some of the stuff I had to attend class in South Africa. So sure, social work was off the plate. So the closest I could get to was psychology. Guys, I've gone off the point completely. Oh my word. Maybe I should write notes. So yes, I studied psychology. I did my bachelor's degree in honors, and then I did a psychology, counseling psychology, my bachelor's and then honors in counseling psychology. Right. But my point is, when I was studying something I didn't even want to study anyway, I happened to make the mistake of mentioning that, yes, I'm studying, but I want to be a Titus II mother and wife. I just knew that I was meant to be married. I'm one of those who, I enjoyed the whole concept of, it actually doesn't work, does it? It's so unfeminist. But I enjoyed the concept of what the Bible said, which was respect your husband, have a happy life, be a good mother. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be one of those happy moms. Did you ever watch The Sound of Music? Based on a true story, but quite apparently, now that I've read about it, not really that way. But yeah, The Sound of Music was based on a true story. I wanted to be a Maria, a mother though. I wanted to, yes, she eventually married the father of the children in the movie. I don't know what the truth was. Or they say she wasn't, or he wasn't as bad. But anyway, I wanted to have a family like that, where we all have lived happy children eventually when she took over. Singing, I loved to sing. So that was my dream. And for me, I was studying as a fallback. And then as I grew in my walk with God, I thought, man, I really should have been a nurse. My goal was midwifery. But if I'd been a nurse, then I could be a missionary. I could be a missionary anyway. But I wasn't a nurse. I was busy studying speech therapy, and all the adverts I saw for missionaries in our church, not a single one wanted speech therapists. They all wanted nurses. So I just felt like that was also taken from me, because now I was in love with God, and we could have gone out and become missionaries and serving God as well. I would have been a nurse. I don't know what he would have done with his business degree. But anyway, so I had told this elder, wow, it's taking me long to get there, that yes, I'm studying, but I really want to stay home. If I have children, I want to be their full-time teacher, caregiver, nurturer. I want to follow Titus 2 verse 3 to 5. And he was actually the first one to say to me, wow, then you're setting the women's liberation movement backwards. So I thought, really? Was the women's liberation movement not about us being liberated, free to choose any career we want, any direction? I didn't know the women's lib movement was that all women must have a career. I really didn't know that. And I'd never actually claimed to even believe in the women's liberation movement anyway. So who cares that I set it back? I never subscribed to it or ascribed to it anyway. But is that really what it was? I, in my folly of youth, thought the whole women's lib movement was so that women would be free to choose anything they wanted, within reason. If I don't have the brain of a nuclear physicist, obviously I mustn't go and become one. But yeah, choice. He was the first one, and he was not going to be the last. There were many women who also, you'd find their blogs, you'd find their comments saying, these people are setting the feminist movement back. This is not what we fought for when we were in the feminist war. I don't know how many of them were really in the forefront, but hey, if the fight was to force women to go out of the home and not mother full-time, then I really am not a feminist. If the fight was to make women feel bad for the choices they make, bad for choices that are not bad in and of themselves, I'm not a feminist. My editing is very choppy today, and sorry about that, but I just thought I wanted to add another thing. So I said I was doing my degree as a fallback, so if my husband dies or if we get divorced, then I'd have a job. So why not, be able to take care of myself if I needed to, if I didn't have someone who was an income provider. But when I was now a missionary, one of the women who had a degree, American woman, she said to me it was a lack of faith. She asked me, why did you study if you're already Christian? Because she became an Adventist later in her life after she had studied. And I said, why not? And she said, but it shows a lack of faith. Don't you believe that God will take care of you? I don't know anyway where God said you mustn't use your brain and your mind to do your own things. I mean, even the people who were back in the Old Testament, where there were no universities, they had to go and pick from the fields that were gleaned with their own hands. It's not like the food would fall into their laps. They had to do something. So this would have been my doing something, getting my own job, if I need to. And also, this another thing I wanted to add is finances, because that's one of the big things. You have to be independent, but you're dependent on your employer. You need that income from the employer. It's not like you making the money yourself. And my employer, in a sense, is our home. I work in our home. So we have a joint income. No, we have a joint bank account, and I buy from that. But I also have my own money, which comes to me, my own private bank. And I'm not the only one who's got this. I know a lady whose husband, sorry, this was just I needed this to be quick, and I'm not doing well. So I'm using this belt thing to laser my SI joints. Haha, just went off. 20 minutes is over. And sorry for the shaking. And she found out that he was being inappropriate with another woman. And she's not the only one. I know another one as well. She took off. She took their card and said, let him pay. And she went and booked herself into an Airbnb with their money. So yes, we are housewives. Yes, we aren't employed, but we have money, okay? And that's how it should be. No man should keep a woman trapped where she doesn't have access to all their money. Obviously, we're not going to overspend our money because our children need it. We need savings, etc. But we are not dependent on the man to give us peanuts. We've got access to, the money, the family money, and we get our own, what they used to call pin money back in the day. I've seen it in a novel or something. Or was it a biography? But in the olden days, they called it pin money. I don't want to call it an allowance because then you sound like you're a teenager. But yes, we get our own private money with which we can do anything we want to do. It's our money. And this is something we got from the spirit of prophecy. If you're Adventist, it says so. A wife must have money for herself. And now my husband is coming in and making noise. Why is it okay? We know they all fight for, don't call them prostitutes, they're street workers. They, give them the dignity. They can do whatever they want with their bodies, even if it's opening their legs to 100 men. Why is that okay? But when we want to raise our children, then that's bad. I allow people to choose. But literally, I give women the freedom. I give you the freedom to choose. Literally, anything you want to be. You can be a nurse, you can be a midwife, you can be a politician, you can be a mother. And I mean, as in, if when your child is at school and being taught by the teacher, you're not mothering them physically, practically in that moment. You are obeying your boss at work, your employer, and your child is being mothered by, if he falls on the street, if he falls wherever he is, if he's running in rugby and he falls, you're not the one who's there to scrape, put the plaster on. You're not mothering in the practical sense at that moment or in that moment. When he gets a stomach ache, oh, my tummy's sore, and he goes and tells the teacher, at that moment you're not mothering. You are his mother, but you're not mothering. So when I say those of us who choose to mother are looked down on, that's the sense I mean it in, where that is our job. Why is it that when a woman chooses to go and study to be a teacher and then goes to the school and stands up and teaches A, B, C, D, that's okay? But when a mother chooses to stand up and teach her children A, B, C, suddenly that's setting the women's liberation movement back. Why is it frowned upon for us to teach our children, but okay to teach other children? Why is it that the fight was apparently for us to only do things to strangers? So it's okay for us to clean a house, like all day, be a domestic worker. It's okay to be a domestic worker. South African whites call them the mothers of the nation. Oh, these heroines who work so hard, breaking their backs, cleaning our dirty floors and cleaning our toilets. Why is it that it's okay? It's part of the feminist movement to go out and clean someone else's toilet. But if you're cleaning your own toilet and your own mess and your own children's mess, suddenly, no, that's setting the feminist movement back. Why is it that a nanny is working? Why is it that a nanny is working when she is out taking care of someone else's children. So if I go now next door, there's a child there, I've heard them. If I go now and I say, okay, these people are going to pay me to take care of their child, then I'm working. But when I'm taking care of my own children as a nanny would, with extra love, then suddenly I'm not working, I'm not doing anything. I am lazy. What's up with that? And it's women who are doing this. Women are our worst enemies. I've never heard of any domestic worker being referred to as lazy. But suddenly when I want to do my own domestic work, the women in my family refer to that as being lazy. Make it make sense. Another thing, going back to the black tax thing, we did not choose to be born. We did not choose then, when we were born, to give you the responsibility of educating us. It's not like a 3-year-old said, Mom, you please send me to university. We didn't. When we were 10, we didn't say, Mom, you owe us. You need to send us to university. We didn't. We don't owe our parents for them educating us. If they did educate us, well, they didn't. They paid for someone else to educate us. But what I would hear from my mother, a woman, is, I'm a waste. I do not deserve to have the car I have, the car I drive, because I am a waste. She educated me so that I go get a job, which, as you know from the black tax video, so that I can give her money. But come on, guys, the school I went to, Micklefield Girls' School, the type of school I would send my children to is hundreds of thousands of rands per year. I would then also need to pay for a babysitter after school. I would then need to pay for aftercare after school. I would then need to pay for a domestic worker to clean while I am gone. Right now, I don't have a domestic worker. I am the domestic worker. I don't know. Lazy. Let's go back to that word, lazy. It says a lot about the kind of mothering they did. Because no good mother would ever accuse a mother who is mothering and cleaning and teaching of being lazy. The only way you would do that is if you, as a mother, just sat down and watched things fall apart around you. If you, as a mother, just sat and let things, stay dirty. If you, as a woman, had a servant to do everything for you and wipe your bum for you, and you wiped, and they're the ones who took care of your children when they fell. They're the ones who wiped them, who cleaned them up, washed away the blood. If you, as a woman, you didn't cook, if you didn't wash those dishes, you didn't scrub those pots, if you didn't shine the mirror, clean the glass, dust the TV stand, then I would understand why you accuse me of, or us sisters who work at home, like literally work at home, of being lazy, because that's what you were like. You sat back and just watched TV all day, and the children fought each other, and they just, actually you wouldn't have any clue because you didn't raise your children. The school teacher raised your children, and that is why you can say they're lazy, because you have no concept of what it is to actually raise your own child. Monday to Friday, they're at work, they're at school. Weekends, you've sent them off to children's class. Sundays, you've sent them off, if you're Adventist, when I was growing up, you've sent them off to Pathfinders. You never actually raise your children. And if your child, as the other person I know I'm speaking of specifically, if your child went to boarding school, you have absolutely no clue, as my husband did, what it is to raise a child. So then obviously you will say we're lazy. And that's my point. The problem lies with you. If you call us lazy for raising our children who've got different personalities, if you say we are a waste, like isn't a waste of space, a waste of money, we're about to ask you to educate us. And as for me specifically, I didn't want those courses anyway. And the silly thing, the irony is, if I had studied midwifery or done social work, I could have actually had a second job, because my word, being a mother to 6 nutty children is a job and a half. Let's be honest. You're on call day and night. You are busy day and night. Ask my children, they will tell you. If my husband's here, I'm still the one working. He gets holidays, then I will come back to that too. So there's no being lazy when I'm the one who's taking care of their education, choosing the curriculum, researching the curriculum that will suit each child's abilities the best, and then teaching them from that curriculum. There is no way you will think I'm lazy unless you're also looking down on teachers who are out there and you think they're lazy. Unless you also think domestic workers are lazy. Unless you also think that a babysitter, the au pair, who takes over the homework when the parents are not parenting and are at work earning money, for the au pair to do that. If you think they're lazy, then I can understand you saying we are lazy. But I've never heard of them ever calling any employed person lazy, even if they're just sitting at the desk, ticking or filling envelopes. They're not lazy. It's the aspect of making money that they are upset about. Lazy is just an easy word to use. It shows more of how they raised us, their children, or how they didn't raise us. There is absolutely no mother, no good mother, no loving mother who will ever accuse us of being lazy for mothering and educating on our own. Okay, so we passed over the laziness, which is one of the accusations. We're lazy. We passed over the fact that we are causing the women's liberation movement to be lost by exercising our right to choose and choosing to do it all ourselves. Thirdly, this is the part where I want to emphasize, I want to not commiserate, but we are suffering. My sisters, it's an unthankful task. It's an unthanked task. It's an unseen task. People will notice the mark on the wall that you didn't wipe away. They will not notice. They will not come in and say, wow, your wall is clean. Wow, your floor is clean. Well, there is the one who will say it. She was also a full-time mom herself. She would come in and say, oh my goodness, how in the world do you keep a cream floor clean with little children? We get each other. But your husband, generally, most husbands are not going to come in and think, "Phew, my poor wife hurt her back." Even if you're healthy, it is back breaking. Hurt her back cleaning this floor. He's not going to think, okay, all the children are present and accounted for. My wife has kept them safe. He's not going to think, okay, they're not crying, they're not hungry. My wife has made sure my children ate. They're not thinking like that, most of them. When they come home on a Friday, they'll be like, most of them, whew, it's weekend. Whoa, what a horrible long week. And we're thinking, okay, we've had a long week too. It's different work, but it is work. No one expects a domestic worker to work 24/7. It's against the law. No one expects a nanny to work 24/7. They also get days off. Even live-in caregivers, live-in domestic workers get days off and holidays off. But we don't. The man is not going to say, whoa, my wife, man, you've been working 24/7 this whole week. When the baby was crying in the night, you woke up, just rest. They don't. They don't. So we've got that to deal with too. It's constant, it's unending, and it's a thankless task. The child is not going to say, Mom, thank you for making my breakfast. Oh, Mom, thank you for making my lunch. Mom, thank you for not burning my pasta. They don't. They don't see the things that the children also don't see, the things that could have gone wrong. They don't say, Mom, thanks for washing my window. You know, they don't. They don't say, thank you, Mom, for ironing my skirt. Mom, thank you for ironing this. Mom, thank you for making sure that this was done. Thank you for marking my schoolwork. Thank you for sitting up until 10 p.m. marking my, fake exam. What's it called? Prep exam. It's unthankless. It's thankless. And then we come and the men are like, oh, finally, it's the weekend. I can relax. I hope no one calls with any emergency. But we're still working. Someone has to serve, and the men don't generally, the ones I know, they don't say, my wife, you've been serving all week. Now it's the weekend. I don't serve my boss. I don't give him, most men, I don't serve my boss food. I don't dish out for him. So, this is something different. I'm resting from my work. Let me take on your work and do it for you. Most of us, I'm talking about us here in Africa, maybe there in Europe, they do it. But it's not the case here. And they don't have generally. I know there's one sister who did say her husband, it's like, he even has to tell the children, guys, you do remember you've got a mom, right? But for us, everyone, this is universal, generally. Mom, it's mom. My children will walk past their dad. I'll be here trying to mark, or I'm here trying to do a video, or I'm here trying to do a video for them. Mom, can we please have peanut butter and honey on our bread? But why didn't you ask your dad? He's right there. And especially for us sick people, it is hard because we're struggling with fatigue, and fatigue is invisible. Pain is invisible. So they're not seeing how much we are forcing ourselves to do these things Monday to Friday, and how our bodies, even as healthy people, our bodies are screaming, we need rest, we need something different. They are leaving their offices and they're at home. It's different. Unless, of course, they're working from home. Then I don't know what they get as a difference. Well, I guess the difference is they're not having meetings. They're home. They have that difference. Sometimes all we need is just difference, a different environment. But we don't ever get that escape. I feel you so much. And my question is, what is then our attitude? Are we going to throw things around? And now I'm talking to you, Christian sister. I'm not a martyr. But it is hard that even women fight against us. So we've got this external voice saying you're nothing, you're not doing enough. I remember one time I took my dad to an appointment, and I was with my brother-in-law, who I don't think he finished school. But he had a sports career of some sort, but I don't think, the last I'd been told was that he hadn't finished school at all. But yeah, he definitely didn't have any extra tertiary education. And so the doctor's asking, oh, what do you guys do? What do you do? And then my dad's, so I said, oh, I'm a homeschool teacher. And he said, the doctor was like, oh, really? And then my dad adds, yeah, but she does have a degree. We don't need to prove our worth. And that is the thing. Others actually don't think we're worthless. There are those wonderful women who say, I could never do what you do. I don't have the patience for that. You must be so loving. You must really enjoy teaching. You must be so disciplined. We do get that. But from those closest to us, and I'm speaking for my sisters who are living this life, who I know personally, our mothers, they didn't raise us to be lazy in their eyes. They raised us so we, as I said, to go and make money for them. So we've got those voices. We love our mothers, even as imperfect as they are. And they were the ones who were there from the beginning. Literally, from the beginning, they've been there. So they are the dominant voice. And when they hate what we do, it does something to us. So we've got that voice saying, you're useless, you're worthless, literally telling me I'm a waste, because I'm taking care of my children myself. I'm taking care of my house myself as much as I can. Then we've got our bodies fighting us when we are ill. And even when we're healthy. It is work. No one will ever accuse a domestic worker of being lazy because she's a domestic worker. Of course, if the boss comes in and she's sitting watching TV and she hasn't cleaned, that's another story. But it's backbreaking, and it's always. The domestic worker will finish her shift at 4, at 5, at 3, at 1. But ours, those things still spill at 7 p.m. At 6 p.m. the children are still breaking glasses, and we're the ones sweeping it up, So we've got the people telling us we've set the feminist movement back. We've got our husbands who don't see it. We don't see how much sacrifice it is to keep smiling when you really want to scream. We've got society, we've got our families, some of us, well, my people, we've got our families who look down on us. It's this constant barrage of negativity, and all we are doing is doing what we know is right. And that is what is so strange. It is right to educate your children. It is right to make sure that your children love God, love other people. It is right to choose a curriculum that suits your child's abilities and strengths and weaknesses. It is right to clean your floor. It is right to put your bedding into the wash and hang it. That is what is so sad. It is right. There is absolutely nothing wrong with what we are doing. But society, not all, has brainwashed women into telling us that what we are doing is wrong and is fighting against womanhood. And then we are sick. And I want us to react in the same way Christ acted. With the Pharisees, he told them, you belong to your father, the devil, and I'm not good at that. I'm not good at telling my parents, you know what I'm doing is right, and I'm tired of listening to you talking in this manner. Please stop, or else I will disappear. Because you're not helping me, you're not encouraging me, and what I'm doing is not even wrong. So we need to call it out. We need to stand up for ourselves. And if not, remove ourselves from it. Because constantly exposing yourself to negativity will weigh you down. God himself said, by beholding you become changed. The more negativity you are exposed to, the more you will also look down on yourself. Don't do that to yourself, please. Love yourself as much as God loves you. He doesn't want you. Darkness and light cannot live together. He doesn't want you to be around darkness in that manner unless he himself sent you there to be a missionary. If he sent you, that's different. But he doesn't want darkness and light at all. He himself said they cannot live together. Separate yourself. Be kind. Jesus was kind even when they kept coming to him. When they woke him up from the bottom of the boat, he was fast asleep, resting at last. And they wake him up, oh, we're scared, we're going to drown. And he's like, seriously, guys. He just spoke gently. He didn't say, oh, you're bothering me, get away. He didn't. And so we too, to our children, to our husbands as well, I mean, those were grown men, let us also cultivate speech, kindness in our speech, love, mercy, long suffering, that is love. 1 Corinthians 13, that is love. It is for us to turn the other cheek. Doesn't mean they must beat us. I mean, we don't want our children to beat us, but it means that we will not react the way they did. We will not retaliate. So we will work, but we will also rest. Rest at night. On the Sunday, just say, fine. If no one else is going to clean that floor, then let it be. All of us, even when we do send our children to school. If your child, said you had an earache, but he'll be fine. I know there are many mothers who are sitting at their desks thinking, oh no, I hope Timmy's earache is really, mild. I hope he won't. I hope the school won't call me because he's worse. I hope he's okay. Even mothers who send their children to be educated by someone else, they worry. So I know that is constant. We can't take that off, but we can take away the physical. Let that toilet stay dirty one day. Tomorrow you will clean it. So also give yourself a break. Just forget about it. Close your eyes. Tell yourself, God wants my body in the best state possible. And if I overwork it, then I am not honoring him. I'm being intemperate. I'm not resting as much as he wants me to rest. Even he told his disciples, come apart and rest a while. God wants you to have a holiday. God wants you to rest. Tell your husband, dude, I'm going. I am gone. That's what I do. If you have the money, Tell him, I'm going away for 2 days this year, and I am leaving this house, and I'm going off to a hotel, and I will be free. Like literally, that's the only way you can be free for many of us, because that pillow that's on the floor that we have to bend down for, and if we are sick, then it will hurt our backs, etc. It will bother us when we are home. So if you've got the means, take yourself away. Take yourself literally away from the noise. Take yourself away from the mommy. You need it. You deserve it. You are worthy of it. If Christ could make a Sabbath, you also need a Sabbath yourself. If the ground could lay fallow for a whole year untouched, how much more your body, sister? Especially if you are sick. More than anything, your children deserve a healthy mom. More than a clean chair, more than a dusted TV stand, more than a tidy shoe rack. The children need a healthy as can be, well-rested mother. Lie on the bed, lie with them if they come, and if they allow themselves to lie down with you. That's what they need. They need companionship more than they need a clean bedroom. Please be kind to yourself. Rather do one thing well and rest than to do everything and be an evil woman who's shouting at her children and angrily smashing things around. If you need a rest, if your mind is crying out, resentment won't help. They're blind. Don't pity them. Just say to yourself, man, just tell yourself, man, this guy is foolish to not realize how much I'm giving. I'm giving him to God. God will sort him out. And you just rest when you can. And if you can't afford to go away, if you've got a friend, tell them, I'm coming to sleep on your bed. I told a friend recently that, I'm coming. I'm coming to stay on your daughter's bed. The daughter is overseas. I'm taking a break. And she said, no problem, come along. I didn't do it at the end of the day because I'm an introvert and I would have felt like I have to talk. But take time for yourself. Take time to fill your plate. What I do is I wake up earlier in the morning. Now that the children are more settled, they wake up at around 6:30, the earliest. So I wake up 2 hours before them. And I then study my Bible. It's not that easy when they're babies or when, like my daughter, she's the last born. Her type of autism makes her extremely awake, keeps her up a lot. She doesn't sleep much. But it's so, when it was her, I honestly didn't have much time to rest. I didn't have much time to think. But I knew at some point it will pass. So if you're in that season where there's no rest even at night, please tell yourself it will pass. And find out how to make it pass if it doesn't. Get melatonin if you can for your child. If your child is a non-sleeper, like my 9-year-old daughter, she's got ADHD and it makes her super restless. So she'll be up walking around at 10 p.m, turning taps on, banging on the doors. Ask your doctor for help also if you're in that situation. If you are like me also and have not been able to sleep because of pain, you can try valerian root. It didn't work for me. It did help me sleep, but it gave me extremely lucid dreams, and my dreams were always bad because it didn't take the pain away. And for me, my body manifests pain. When it feels pain, I have nightmares. So I was having nightmares that were extremely real. So I had to put the valerian root. So I had to go the medical route. And when the doctors now had diagnosed me anyway, they knew there's no sleep with this kind of pain, with ankylosing spondylitis pain. It manifests especially at night, like hectic. So one of the painkillers and nerve blocks they give me, it actually helps with sleep. Sometimes you just need to sleep. So if your child is sleeping through, that's another method. Ask your doctor to help you, even with melatonin. Try it. It might help you. If pain doesn't wake you, try the melatonin or take your pain meds, as late as possible. but you definitely need restorative sleep. It will put you in a better mood anyway the next day. So those are my tips, and that is my call to sisterhood. Despite the negative voices, despite the people who look down on us, despite the family members who don't act like family should, when they're not the safe space, when our husbands don't see it, don't get it, don't help as much as they could and as much as Christ did, just look inside yourself and find Christ in you, in the sense of him living through you. And think of him, he never rested. Everyone was always following him, like how children do, constantly there. And for some of us, we're in this for the long haul. Our children will never be independent. I don't even know if my child will ever talk. So I'm like, for me, it will not pass until I'm dead. But certain aspects will pass. And I hope that my children have arrived, so my brain is now gone. Sorry, my brain is gone, but yes. Guys, every hour you succeed in keeping your temper is an hour of practice. You've had to keep it another hour or 2 or 3 or 40. Let's do our best to be the best at what we are doing. Best mother, best wife, best everything. With God's help. And he will reward us. At the end of the day, it's not only about we will be in heaven and resting, but we will get our reward, we will get our bonus, we will get our salary increase with God. So let's just keep the faith, keep on fighting with grace and humor and some sass. Take that cord of whips and turn those tables over when you have to. They know they should be better than that, some of them. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself and stand up for the truth. You are a Titus 2 believer and follower. There's nothing wrong in obeying the Bible.